Welcome back to Nerdrotic. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and I am live in Palm Springs, California, in a little echoey room, so I do apologize about that. I thought they would have carpet. They didn't, but we are here for a very short live recap review of Good Omens, Episode 1 in the beginning. I'll give you my spoiler-free thoughts first, and then some short spoiler thoughts on the episode, and then we'll get to you. I have another live stream following this. Now, usually I would do a video on this, but unfortunately I just don't have time traveling to do a video. So you'll just shoot one here live with me right now. So for those of you who say we tend to be too negative around these parts, I expect all of you who complained about that to watch this video because this is a good TV show. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now I have my bias because I'm a huge Terry Pratchett fan, because I was a Douglas Adams fan. I like Neil Gaiman, some of his comic book stuff. I don't like other comic book stuff he's done. Not really big on his novels, but I think he's an excellent television writer. I think he's kind of tailor-made for that, to be honest with you. He's done one very good Doctor Who episode, and I think this episode that he wrote was excellent. Now, of course, he's adapting his own work with Terry Pratchett, but he did it with Terry Pratchett in mind. Terry Pratchett has since left us, and I'm very sad about that, but he's hanging out with Douglas Adams right now, and they're having a good laugh, realizing that there actually was an afterlife, and they're like, damn, I was wrong all along. But it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Now, Good Omens, I can highly recommend it to just about everybody. It's of its time. So when the book came out in the early 2000s, right? It's very of its time. And they adapt a little bit of it to make it a little more modern, and they changed a few things around. But essentially, it sticks with the beginning of the book. There's also a BBC audio drama that is very, very good, that has Simon Jones, Arthur Dent, and it has Peter, I could never pronounce his last name, who played the Tick, who's playing Crowley, who was excellent back when BBC made very good audio dramas. All right, so we start out with, by the way, the cast on this is pretty amazing. So we have Michael Sheen, of course, is Aziraphale. Then we have the great David Tennant, the international treasure, David Tennant. We have John Hamm as Gabriel, Francis McDormand as God, and Nick Offerman as Thaddeus Dowling, which is brilliant. And the whole story behind that is pretty damn funny. If you've never read the book or you've never heard the audio drama, there's a pretty good joke behind the Antichrist. So yes, this is a story that centers around an angel and a demon who are trying to prevent the apocalypse. And are trying to basically save, it turns out to be, trying to save the Antichrist, who isn't born evil, but has evil tendencies and definitely needs to be brought into it and has great power. And in typical English, it's a very British TV show. That's why I love it. All right. So you got to really be, I'm pretty sure I saw Phil Collinson's name as a producer. He used to be a Doctor Who producer back in the glory days. I'm pretty sure I saw his name. So that is a good thing. So we start out in the Garden of Eden. This first episode spans thousands of years very quickly. And it's right at the expulsion of Adam and Eve. We get a pretty good Eve booty shot right before she eats the apple. Okay, so if you're the only people who might not like this are any, it pokes a little good fun at Christianity, but it's not the typical hateful poking fun. It's more a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. So it's kind of funny, but they do acknowledge in the beginning of the show and in the beginning of the book that the dinosaur fossils are actually there planted by God to mess with the scientists, which was pretty funny, I thought. So we start out the Garden of Eden, and Adam and Eve are being expelled, and we have Aziraphale and Crowley meeting for the first time, and it turns out it was Crowley who was the one who tempted Eve, and he was just sent up by the big guy to cause a little bit of trouble. And he honestly doesn't see what's so bad about knowing the difference between good and evil. Aziraphale says, well, it's best not to question his plan, and then they question the plan, and he says the plan is ineffable. So, yeah, it's ineffable. And we find out that Aziraphale has given away his flaming sword. He gave it to the nice young couple who was expecting, because they've been thrown out in the world and it's a dangerous place, and he thought it might keep them warm. He might need that sword later, though. That comes into play later. But that was the first meeting between Aziraphale and Crowley, who spend so much time on Earth that they go native. They both fall in love in their own separate ways with humanity. Now, Crowley is not good. He likes to tempt humanity in very fun ways, but he's pretty much the good little demon. And he absolutely steals the show. But when I see Michael Sheen and David Tennant together, don't you see two doctors from Doctor Who? Couldn't Michael Sheen? I don't know. Michael Sheen's has a pretty good range as a character actor. He can play this Ponzi, Aziraphale, and he can also be a badass, and of course David Frost. So yeah, I think he would be a great Doctor, but of course Tennant is one of the best right there with Tom Baker. So we fast forward a little bit, and we find out that it is time for the Antichrist to arrive. And this is 11 years prior to present day within the story. Not entirely sure where this is taking place. I don't know if it's taking place at the time of the book, which was around turn of the century, or if it's now. But we're 11 years in the past, and Crowley is assigned taking the Antichrist to the location where the baby swap is going to happen. This turns out to be the satanic nuns of the Chattering Order of St. Barrels. And they are the ones who are going to do the baby switching. So it's a big plan that was set up by Satan to make sure that there was a hospital right next to an American base, because Satan likes movies, and he decided to bring in the Antichrist just like they did in The Exorcist. It's going to be the son of an American diplomat, and it's funny. What happens is a bit of a shell game, and God narrates this, and the Young family has their baby 1 week early, so they're there, so that we're going to have another baby during this big operation to screw things up. Arthur Young is the father. I've always imagined, at least in the book, and especially since Simon Jones voiced him in the BBC radio drama, that this was actually Arthur Dent, but they call him Arthur Young. So the Young family have their baby, and the Dowlings, who are the American diplomats, who is played by Nick Offerman very well, they're having their baby. And of course, there's a third baby, the Antichrist, that Crowley really doesn't want to deliver when he meets the two demons, the Dukes of Hell. I guess they can kind of tell he's not really into it. He's all, what? Oh, the Antichrist now? So soon? Oh, you could tell he's not really into it. So he delivers the baby and just hands it off to Sister Mary Loquacious, who is the kind of loser of the satanic nun bunch. And of course, she screws it up. So we actually don't know what happens to the third baby, but the babies get switched out at the time. And the Antichrist ends up going on to the Young family, and the Young baby ends up going to the Dowling family. But nobody knows this except for maybe God, who's played by Frances McDormand. So to thwart this, Crowley and Aziraphale, after it takes Crowley a while to talk Aziraphale into it. They have a couple of very long meals, get drunk, and then sober up immediately. God, don't we all wish we could do that? Just kind of burp everything out and just be sober. And they decide that they are going to try to bring the baby into the light. Now, Aziraphale doesn't want to question God's plan, but Crowley has a pretty good point of, well, maybe it's not God's plan. Maybe it's Satan's plan, and maybe you're meant to thwart me. So they agree, and they go undercover, and Aziraphale is the gardener, the Irish gardener, I believe, and David Tennant is the scariest, ugliest looking nanny you've ever seen. And they raise the child. They have questions, but they go along with it. Long story short, you got to watch the show. Turns out they were watching the wrong kid. His name was Warlock, by the way, and naming is very important. And Adam is the actual Antichrist, who gets raised pretty normally by the young family, has a bunch of friends in a town, and lives in a town that's pretty much paradise. The weather's always good. There's no social media. The kids like play outside on bikes and build forts, kind of like we used to. And yeah, there's something very odd about this town. And it's because Adam lives there. And he is willing all of this to happen because he's the Antichrist. Of course, we also have we have a trip to hell and a trip to heaven. And Gabriel's played by the great John Hamm, who I would have picked to play Batman, but nobody asked me. So Robert Pattinson gets chosen. And yeah, that's it for Batman. So, oh well. We see that Aziraphale and Crowley working together, and they've built this relationship. They actually like each other quite a bit. So the first episode follows the book pretty much. It leaves a couple of characters for later, which we'll see in later episodes. But generally, I thought it was great. I loved it. It was it met my expectations, my crazy fan expectations of wanting to be entertained. I know it's so much to ask these days to be entertained, not be preached at, see some, a brilliant cast and a good, fun TV show. This is kind of the stuff I like. If you're a Doctor Who fan and you're starving for something, this is your show. Unfortunately, it's only 6 episodes. And unfortunately, Amazon dropped them all at once. Amazon, I know you're listening. Jeff, buddy, you're a handsome guy. You're a handsome, smart guy, and we love you. You saved the Expanse. Yeah, you're carrying Star Trek Picard, but you just didn't know. So it's cool. But listen to me here. Please listen to everybody in the chat. Listen to everybody who's an Expanse fan or a fan of TV. You can always binge when the series is done. Don't drop these things all at once. You now robbed yourself of 5 weeks of free advertising because people would have been talking about this show. There would have been other people making videos weekly about this show. And now the most we can squeeze out is maybe two. I'm only going to do one more because it's only 6 episodes. But that way you just robbed yourself of a month and a half of free advertising that honestly does more than plastering something on the side of a bus or a billboard these days. So I don't know who's advising you on this stuff. And I'm not saying I'm applying for the job because I'm not. Actually, Jeff, I'd buy you lunch. I would buy you lunch if you listened to me for 5 minutes on this. And just, I think that's why the Tick got canceled, because it didn't have enough time to build up an audience, because you dropped out. These things take time. It's disposable money. You're throwing your money away. You're burning your money. This is not how TV is supposed to be viewed. This binge model is stupid. And you're making it for people who really aren't going to buy anything anyway. You want the adults to watch this. And I know a lot of people like to binge. You can always binge when it's done. So yeah, I'm very much against that model, and I don't think it's sustainable, and I think it will bury anybody in the streaming wars. And God, do I have to credit CBS All Access? They put out their stuff weekly. That's the only good. I mean, unfortunately, I wish they would drop their stuff all at once. But let's get to you real quick. I want to get to the chat a little bit, and then I'm doing another live stream on. You can tell I'm not in my room. I am in Palm Springs for Contact in the Desert. And on my other Nerdrotic Live channel, I will be doing a big, long live stream of wrap up of those events. I will be doing another video on this because I dug it. Let's get to the super chats real quick. Everybody, thanks for sitting through that. If you are new to the channel, this is kind of what we used to do. So I do a recap and you would be my co-host. Peter Davison, I should get the book for Mother. Yes, Peter Davison, Australian $2. Pretty much anything by Terry Pratchett is fantastic. Again, it's a great loss that he's not around. Very much in a Douglas Adams-esque writer. And this, if you like Hitchhiker, it even starts out in a Hitchhiker type of way. It's got God narrating like the history or how old the world is. And it feels very much like Hitchhiker. And it's meant to, because both of these guys adored Douglas Adams. I believe Neil Gaiman's first book was a book about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the scripts of the radio show and stuff. Dr. Venkman, thank you, Peter Davison. Dr. Venkman, thank you for the $5. Did you get evicted from the other room? Did the toys come to life and take over? They revolted. No, I am actually not at home. I am not at home. Airbnb is amazing. I got a 4-bedroom. It's a little echoey, but I got a 4-bedroom house for $75 a night. Can't beat that. Modalicious, $5. Snowflame. Expanse has been pretty sweet. It's like a Gorefest second in 5th season of Firefly with funny accents. Yes, it's very much in the vein of Firefly. Good Omens fans, The Expanse is a show that's going to be right here on Amazon Prime. You should check it out. But if Amazon Prime keeps making shows like this, Amazon Prime should almost be the home of Doctor Who. I don't think the BBC knows what to do with it. And there was some Doctor Who people. There's also Susan Brown, who was the Mother Superior of the Satanic Order of the Chattering Nuns of St. Beryl. You might recognize her from Game of Thrones, Septa Nanella. That is right. So great cast, good show. I'm going to get to the chat real quick, and then we got to wrap it up because it is time to go to the other side. We'll do here a few more minutes here. Very close to 100,000 subscribers. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, I usually don't ask. I try to earn it, but I'm going to ask this time. If you could please subscribe, get us a little closer to 100,000. That would just make me happy. That's all it would. I can't offer anything in the return except for a good deed. If you got a channel, I subscribe to you. Just let me know. I know the Tech Guy, they didn't subvert any expectations. I am very sorry to report no expectations were subverted in this episode of television. I know it's so old fashioned not to subvert expectations, but they were not. They were not. Lucifer is here. Lucifer, you didn't make this episode, Lucifer. I'm very sorry to say, but your plan is in motion. Your plan is in motion. Hail Satan. What happened to you, Lucifer? I think they still these 6 still are better than Game of Thrones. Lucifer, the first nanosecond was better than Game of Thrones. Season 8. It was excellent. I peeked at the second episode real quick. But yeah, Larry, I'm in India. I'm at an event that's in Indian Wells, California, which is about 5 miles that way. Palm Springs is just one city in a big, vast, giant golf course in the middle of the desert in California. It's hard to explain. There should be no towns here. It's arid desert with very little life that's visible. But there's so much grass here, and they've actually changed the climate. Binge it on the Blu-ray. Exactly. HBO does weekly. Yep. And that's why Game of Thrones became the biggest show in the world. If they would have dropped Game of Thrones at once every season, nobody would talk about it. The reason it got talked about so much and got so big was because it was released weekly. I don't know how many times I got to tell these people, Jeff Bezos and the producers of this show just flushed millions of dollars down the toilet because it's good. So a lot of people watch it and they'll be very happy with their clicks, but I don't know if anybody's telling him. I think people might be telling him that the weekly model is dead. No, I'm telling you that the binge model is unsustainable. You cannot keep spending money like that. Just because you have it doesn't mean you should spend it. Lauren Bastian says, "Hey Gary, thank you for being here and sharing good omens with all of us. I love to share good things, and this is a good thing. It's a fun show. You got to be kind of into British comedy, but it's definitely a fantasy comedy, and it's David Tennant is freaking genius. He's genius. Yeah, I'd much rather see him in something like this than Broadchurch, which was like a big downer. It's Ada McGurr here, but I wanted to rename my YouTube channel for uploading some videos. Been making a DC Films trailer video thing for a while, which is the main reason. Oh, what's up, Aiden? That's cool. I like Aiden's Den. That's good. That's a good name. What's up, Bad Bunny? Airbnb with dolls. Weird. Action figures, Bad Bunny. Action figures. Dolls have clothing. Like Amigo is a doll. This is just a formed piece of plastic that is painted. I brought my own stuff. I just grabbed a couple of boxes for, you got to make it look a little bit like home. $4.99. What's up? Bruce Lombardo, thank you for the $4.99. Ducock is streaming. Can you message him and Exozone us early? He is welcome to come on my stream early. It's not an official Exozone. I haven't heard whether I'm figuring he's doing his own stream tonight, so he will not be joining me. But he's welcome to. I'll send him the link. But mine is going to be more of a Contact in the Desert wrap up thing, but it'll be very much Exozone topics. Watching it now, was the Douglas Adams brought back to life to write this? Says Mimi is guided. It feels like a Douglas Adams story. And that's why I love it. And yeah, it's almost like they resurrected him and channeled their inner Douglas Adams to write this. And it is most excellent because of it. And Terry Pratchett really, he was great. The guy was great. He was as good as Douglas Adams. Joan of Arc, 33. I like, but not love the first episode. Not sure they know what they were going, but will still continue to watch. The intro to Anathema and Guy with no job didn't flow. You look great. It works if you work it. Thank you. I didn't see the second episode. So Anathema, she was, that wasn't my favorite character in the book. I know, but she was fine. We will see. Did they, I don't know if they change it from a Witchfinder or not. So you didn't care for David Tennant and Broadchurch. How do you think of him and Jessica Jones? He was genius in Jessica Jones season 1. I didn't say I didn't care for him. I just said the material was too dark for me to like it. It was just like, it was so, everything's horrible. I don't watch shit like that. I just don't. If I want to see, what's up, baller? How's it going? Dude, if I wasn't about to stop, I'd invite you on. Mahler's got an accent. He might like it. Just kidding. What's up, man? Mahler just hit 200,000 subscribers, everybody. Give him a round of applause. Freaking beast. What did you say? You finished The Boys? Yeah, Pratchett and Gaiman seem to channel a bit of Douglas Adams with this one. Brilliant, says Jody. Yeah, it was freaking good. Anathema is okay in this one. Newt was endearing too, says Jody. Yeah. I'll have to see. I did not see that episode, so I will let you know on my season 1 review. But Anathema, yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll agree with you in one count. The Duke of Hell, the delivery of those lines when they were delivering Crowley's the Antichrist, it was a little flat for me. That was a little flat for me. There was a couple of quick edits, but I'm also was watching it. Something was weird with my stream. It was jittery or something. Yeah, Pratchett wrote Discworld. Damn straight, Larry. All right, everybody, do subscribe to my friend Mahler, and you're welcome. And okay, so I'm going to end this one, and then I'm going to go over to Nerdrotic Live and fire up the UFO weirdness live stream. So if you're into that stuff, please join me there. That's the reason I'm down in Palm Springs. I'm going to give a wrap up of the first episode of the first day, which was not much, to be honest with you, but there's a lot to talk about. The baby switch was too short. Christy Miller, it was like a good portion of the episode, but I thought they would do more of they talked about, it's like they introduced the shell game part and they didn't complete it. So, it's all right. They got to cut this stuff short. So, so join me over at Nerdrotic Live. If you just hit YouTube, or actually if you go to my channel, go to the right on our Friends of Nerdrotic, you'll see my Nerdrotic Live. You'll see the glasses. It's just blue. That's the big difference. It's not yellow. It's blue. And I will do a full-on Good Omens review. But first episode, so far so good. I enjoyed it. I had fun. But I like the book. I like the story. So I have some, and I like David Tennant. So I have my bias. Everybody have a great day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the super chats. Let me make sure. Thank you, Wade S. and Joan of Arc 33 and Bruce Lombardo and Modalicious and Dr. Vinkman and Peter Davison and everybody in the chat. Thank you to my mods, Jody, Nyla Shadow, Kaylee, the Cinema Queen, Christy Miller, Penn Farm Girl, and Chris Persia. I know you're out there somewhere. Matthew Matson and Mark Lazurth is somewhere out there. And all of you guys are great. Please go to nerdrotic.com for my live stream schedule. There will be live streams every day on my other channel. Everybody have a great day. And may the free folks sing songs of your greatness. Ciao.